who's going to do the Pledge of Allegiance.
Yes, Detective Nathan Anderson. On March, I just want to, introduce him in more than just introducing who you are, but also something great that you most recently did. On March 25th, the robbery unit detectives responded to the scene of a strong-armed robbery, which resulted in an 89-year-old victim suffering serious injuries. Shortly after, the victim was revealed to be the mother of a KCPD employee, as well as the Kansas City's first black woman elected to the city council. As in any case, numerous patrol investigative elements conducted continuous area canvasses, residence checks, and pedestrian checks after this incident, seeking information regarding the whereabouts of the suspect. Valuable leads were obtained, which led to receiving information the suspect had been frequenting the area of the downtown library on West 10th Street. On April 6th, Detective Anderson was off duty on his personal time, enjoying an outing with his family in the River Market area. He decided to separate from his gathering before going home to check the library in hopes of identifying the suspect. As a result of Detective Anderson's dedication and unwavering effort, he located the suspect on the third floor of the library and maintained visual contact of him while he summoned an on-duty personnel who responded and took custody of the suspect. That suspect has been charged in custody by the Jackson County Prosecutor's Office with first-degree robbery and was given no bond. Detective Anderson, your commitment to apprehending a violent and dangerous offender exemplifies the values and professionalism of the Kansas City, Missouri Police Department. I commend you, and I thank you, and specifically for handling such a matter on your own personal time. Thank you today for leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Stand.
And if you could remain standing up there, I have something to present to you. It will be the Chief's coin for your service. Thank you.
Okay, and if we can remain standing for our invocation by Shanita Wright.
Good morning. Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we stand in a hard place today. I pray, Lord, that you will touch the minds and the hearts and the spirits of everybody here this morning as they have gathered to make decisions on behalf of this department in our city. I pray for wisdom, knowledge, clarity, and direction. I pray, Father, that you will strengthen the family of those connected to the young firefighter who was so senselessly killed. I pray, God, for encouragement. I pray that you will help them to endure this season of grief. I pray, God, that you will bless this great board today to move forward corporately and collectively. I thank you in advance for all that you have done and that which you continue to do for this great city of Kansas City. Continue to order our steps. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Thank you. May be seated. Okay, City Council update, Mayor's designee.
Hi there. Happy to have you all here. I believe the Mayor Pro Tem is here to speak with us on a number of different initiatives today. Her name, by the way, Raina Park Shaw.
Thank you.
Good morning. Okay, is this the mic?
Good morning.
Good morning. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, it is an honor to be with you all here today. I have several things that I will talk to you about today. I do have a document that I'd like to distribute to you. Could you help me? Thank you. I'm sorry. Commissioners. President Kramer and Commissioners, Mayor, I'm honored to talk to you today about an important detail in the budget that will go into effect. And I'll discuss that at the end of my comments, but I wanted to make sure you have a copy. You can distribute the rest. I don't know that I have one for everybody, but thank you. So Kansas City, we know, has had some challenges with our 911 system. One of those challenges being not being able to adequately hire 911 call takers. For far too long, these frontline heroes, thank you, have carried the heavy burden of being the first voice that people hear in their moment of greatest need. And today, we're saying loud and clear that we value them, we see them, and we are investing in them. I was especially proud to honor a budget amendment to provide an additional $250,000 to make this possible, allowing us to raise the salaries of our 911 call takers. Because of the budgetary amendment that we passed, and the council fully supported this, we're able to adjust their pay range from 52 to 53. Beginning May 1st, call taker starting salaries will increase from $48,132 to $52,068 per year, and the top salary will increase from $84,192 to $91,068 per year. This achievement was a true team effort, and I want to sincerely take a moment to thank Chief Stacy Graves. I want to also thank Manager Christine Reeder of the Budget Unit, Major Greg Williams of Logistical Support Division, Deputy Chief Derek McCullum, and Major Josh Heinen for their leadership, hard work, and commitment and partnership in making this happen. I also want to commend us for continuing and introducing the $2,500 hiring bonus for call takers and dispatchers hired during the next fiscal year, who complete their 6-month probationary period. Additionally, there'll be a $500 recruitment bonus for any member who helps bring new candidates into these critical roles. By increasing these salaries, offering incentives, and strengthening our recruitment efforts, we're not only recognizing, the critical role that these professionals play in our public safety system, we are making a serious investment in the safety and future of Kansas City. It's more than a budget item, which is why I'm excited to be here to speak to you today. It's a promise to our community that we will continue to invest in the people that invest their hearts and minds every single day to protect and serve our city. And it's also a promise to our residents that we will continue to work diligently to reduce emergency call wait times and ensure the best possible service when they need it most. Because unfortunately, there are some of us in this room who have needed it, and the call took a little bit too long to answer. It is my hope and my prayer that this additional budget amendment will make an impact on that. I know that this week, we actually will have a graduation that we will be celebrating for new 911 call takers. And I'm honored and can't wait to welcome them into this, into the new journey of working for Kansas City, because we have had significant issues over the last several years. I believe this is one major step that we can take to turn that around. I was also excited to sponsor legislation that the City Council fully supported to funding and establishing crime prevention through environmental design, or CPTED, which I know you all are far familiar with. But what's different is we are now going to offer a citywide training program that will be designed at equipping Kansas City businesses, their business owners, and neighborhood leaders with the tools to proactively prevent and reduce crime through design-based strategies. Currently, as you know, there are a limited number of officers that have this training. And this funds that the council approved will pay for 50 more individuals, including officers, as well as key stakeholders throughout Kansas City to receive this training. And I just got word actually yesterday that the training will occur in August, as that's the first available date that they have. that will provide that training so that we can reach every corner of our city to provide this proactive, preventative training to those who need it so that we can prevent and reduce crime in Kansas City. But because we know that time is of the essence, our city communications department will be working with police officers to conduct a training video, several training videos that we will put online to make available to the community as soon as possible. So that will be happening soon. I want to take a moment to thank and I don't think they're in the room, but thank the officers that have assisted with this. The officer Jeffrey Krebs, Andrew Gore, Luther Young, and of course, Jonas Boffman for their efforts and really their ideas to bring this to Kansas City. The success of this effort will be strengthened by the continued partnership between the board, you all, and the city council, underscoring our shared commitment to innovative, community-focused approaches that improve safety and well-being of all Kansas Cityans. And finally, the document you have with you is the KC United for Public Safety Plan. It's a 4-page summary. I was excited to be the architect of this and pleased to share a brief update with you on the citywide strategy to reduce violent crime through this unified, data-informed, and community-based approach. Launched in 2024, this initiative was inspired by Omaha's successful public safety model and is built on collaboration across sectors: law enforcement, community organizations, residents, businesses, health professionals, educators, and elected leaders. This was established because, unfortunately, we know in Kansas City we have far too many silos. We have great organizations across our city that are doing great work, but because of individuals, and them working in their silos, many times we lose the collective impact. The goal of KC United is not to replace any priority, any goal, any plan, but to bring everyone together to emphasize and the collective impact that we all can make when we work together. Since the rollout, we had multiple public safety summits, we had forums, and we met with over 500 individuals, 250 organizations throughout last year, and we rolled out the plan in October. We've held mental health healing events. We also had a domestic violence event as well, trying to address the root causes and empower women who are dealing with domestic violence. And I'll tell you, ultimately, we allow the community, the key stakeholders, to drive the goal. And while I'll say the goal is aggressive, but I believe that it is achievable. The goal that they established is to reduce gun violence in Kansas City by 50% over the next 5 years and bring our homicides to below 100. In that plan, you see the different phases that were established. That is just the start. We are working collectively with businesses, with our foundations, to add additional dollars into the work. One of the first major things that we will be funding is the Save KC program, the focused deterrence model, because we know that while the focused deterrence model is having great success, we know that there are additional dollars that are needed. And so as me and the leaders and the chief has been on board and has worked hand in hand with our core group, we are working with the foundations to add additional dollars so that we can adequately fund the focused deterrence model, which we believe is a key factor in the success of us being able to reach that goal. Last month, we had a summit that provided an opportunity to review the early outcomes and outline our next steps. Law enforcement, as I said, continues to be a vital partner in this model, particularly in building trust, improving community engagement, and strengthening neighborhood-based strategies. I look forward to deepening our collaboration as we work together to make Kansas City safer and more resilient for every resident. Your leadership and commitment is essential to the success of this initiative. If my office can be supportive, or if you all want more information, I'd be happy to meet with you all individually to talk about the independent strategies that are outlined there. We know that we can't arrest our way out of the situation that we have. We know we have to go further upstream and address the root causes of why people commit the violence that they do, and that's what the KC United for Safety plan intends to do. Thank you so much for your time this morning. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Councilwoman Park Shaw, I want to say thank you so much. We appreciate you taking the initiative to do the 911 and to do all these programs for us. It really does make a difference. And, you know, like I always say, it takes a village, and we have to start somewhere. And this week, I also saw a presentation by Liberty Schools, how they're taking all of this and using it in the school systems now with these kids and teaching them that conflict resolution and things. And I know we're doing it all over, but it was nice to be able to see that, because, you know, it really does take a village, and we appreciate all your hard work in putting this together and making this happen. Thank you. Any questions?
Madam President, I want to thank the Councilwoman for your commitment and passion. You know, when our city's policymakers, the mayor and all of the council people, when you all exhibit a commitment to very much in sync with the chief's policing plan, when we work together, we can go far. So your commitment, I've noticed over the months, years, you've been extremely committed and on target. The lead pillar of collaboration. Without that, we get nowhere. So I just want to thank you for your leadership and your efforts. And we look forward to working with you in the coming months, coming years. Thank you.
Thank you.
I just want to add on just a second, Mayor Pro Tem. Thank you so much for just being authentic and really seeing the needs in different places. You know, us working together and the way that you have really got in and led and brought people together for this United for Public Safety has been needed. And I know that you see all of the challenges in that, and we just hit the road bumps and we keep moving to a better place. But, you know, even with your seeing the need for our dispatchers and, you know, the need for that and the importance of their job here at KCPD and how that affects people who are needing someone to answer the phone on the other line. Thank you for all your work in that space, but really for just having the heart that you do. I probably should have saved this for some other time, but I see your heart, and I see you out here really trying to do authentically good things and really caring about the well-being of Kansas City. And so I just took advantage of this opportunity to tell you that. So thank you. I appreciate you.
Okay, Jackson County Prosecutor Melissa Johnson, welcome. Good morning.
Good morning.
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 Good morning, President Kramer, members of the board, chief, and all of the members of the department. First, obviously, I must extend my office's heartfelt condolences to the families and friends of Graham Hoffman, all of KCFD, the KCPD officers that responded, and the entire first responder community. Our thoughts and prayers are definitely with everybody involved and affected. April was a busy month for the Jackson County Prosecutor's Office. I definitely want to notify you all of a couple of key case involvements that we've had. Number one, we were able to charge the ATV driver accused of striking and critically injuring a Kansas City police officer on April 12th. That individual has been charged with assault in the first degree, armed criminal action, and aggravated fleeing a stop or detention. We were also able to charge a tow truck company owner and his mother with 18 different felony counts, 4 counts of stealing, 4 counts of forgery, and first-degree harassment. And I definitely want to thank the Kansas City Police Department for the bold and robust collaborative investigation that was able to get us to this point. We were also able to finally charge 2 men involved in a fatal dog mauling that happened in November of last year. Both men were charged with 1 count of involuntary manslaughter and 1 count of assault in the second degree. Again, that would not have been possible without ongoing, bold, and robust collaboration between the Jackson County Prosecutor's Office and in this department. Every month, I'm definitely going to try to come prepared with some statistics that kind of paint the picture of how the previous month went. I have not had a chance to break this down by case type yet, but in March of 2025, the Jackson County Prosecutor's Office charged right about 80% of all cases submitted to it in the month of March. And we want to see that number continue to increase, and we will work collaboratively with the police department to ensure that that happens. But that has even been an increase since January of this year. And so I definitely want to make sure that we continue to be transparent. We continue to let you all know kind of where we are on our side of the street and continue this positive working relationship moving forward. And with that, I will definitely take some questions if there are any.
Questions?
If I may, good to see you, Madam Prosecutor.
Always good to see you, Mr. Mayor.
I will note that on that percentage of cases charged, that is a sign of strong collaboration, and strong collaboration up front, actually. It isn't, if you're trying to do everything ex post and figuring things out, then you have real challenges. I appreciate, since you came into office, making sure we're working with our command staff, so many others, to make sure this is what you and your assistant prosecutors would like to see, ensuring that we can get charges filed efficiently in a number of these cases. It's making a difference, and I appreciate it. I know we'll probably have other forums to talk about it, but maybe even just a brief update on Save KC. I know you all have done good, active work. I know a little about it, but you probably know it better. And so if the board could just know some of the progress we're making there as well.
Absolutely. In April, as a matter of fact, we had our 4th call-in, I believe it was. And out of the 13 individuals that attended that call-in, and as a reminder, these are individuals that have been identified as high risk for either committing or being victimized by violence through intelligence gathering on behalf of our enforcement subcommittee, which is led by KCP, specifically Sergeant Nick Sola. We invited these individuals, they came, and out of the 13 attendees, 11 of them are now engaged with services. And so that is probably the best call-in that we've had, the most attended, and our speakers were absolutely spot on. And so, you know, we unfortunately did recently charge a homicide involving a Save KC client. That is the first for this year where a Save KC client has been a suspect or at least charged with a homicide. And so while that is unfortunate, the system is working as designed. They were invited to a call-in. They did not take advantage of the services that we had to offer. Enforcement continued, and we were all still ready and willing to do our jobs, especially because this individual did not engage with the services that we had to offer. We're heading in the right direction, but of course, with the amount of violence that we do see in our community, we do need to expand our capacity. But we recently did a press conference not too long ago where we were focusing on the decrease in crime around group-centered violence, group or gang-centered violence. And that is exactly what Save KC is designed to curb, and I think we're well on our way.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, and I think that speaks volumes for what we're trying to do here. And thank you for recognizing, too, the firefighter, because that breaks our heart. We've had a rough month between our officer getting run over by the ATV and then losing one of our first responders. And that's where we really need to come together as that village, and people need to let us know who those bad actors are. And we appreciate you, standing up and setting that message that that's not okay, and we're not going to take that. So thank you so much for what you do.
President Kramer. And I will see you all next month.
Thank you, Madam Prosecutor.
Thank you. Okay, Chief Graves.
On that same vein, as been mentioned, on Sunday, we lost a first responder, Graham Hoffman of the Kansas City Fire Department. He was helping a person who hurt him, and his life was ultimately taken. Just being in and around KCFD this weekend, I was told of his character. He's a man with a servant's heart who treated those who came in contact with him with dignity and respect, and I'm also told that he was a leader amongst his peers. Obviously, he was loved by his family and friends, KCFD family, and our city. And when a first responder's life is taken, when a firefighter's life is taken, KCPD mourns too. We know the life of service and the dangers that come with it. Graham lost his life in service to this city. He'll never be forgotten. KCPD will continue to recognize Graham's family and the KCFD, lift them up in prayer, and are at their service for anything that we can offer to ease the pain of these moments. We are on the same team. This past month, one of our officers, as Prosecutor Johnson mentioned, was seriously injured when he was struck and run over by an ATV, enforcing the lawless behavior exhibited by illegal motorized vehicles on our city streets. As she mentioned, he's was taken into custody and was charged by the Jackson County Prosecutor's Office. But this was an example of how KCPD officers are constantly out working in the city, addressing the lawless, dangerous, and criminal behavior of some of these illegalized motorized vehicles. And without going into all of the ways that we do that, we are aggressively pursuing that. We have, not only are we enforcing when we see that, or if we know that it may potentially happen in our city, we have officers ready, willing, and available to address those situations, but we also plan large-scale events that include a numerous amount of officers, agencies, resources, to include the helicopter. And we've also partnered with the city and the state to enhance penalties for these lawless acts, and will continue to advocate for tougher penalties for those who participate in these activities. I want to thank the people of Kansas City for their support in passing the public safety sales tax. The public safety sales tax to the police department and your first responders are important, to say the least. They provide capital improvements and equipment to our city's emergency first responders, and these funds are needed to fully operate and provide needed services to Kansas City. So I just I thank the people of Kansas City for their favor in that. This past month was Telecommunications Appreciation Week, and there was also an award ceremony that I attended. Our KCPD team received a standing ovation when they received an award, which DC McCullum will provide further information during his time. This Monday, on May the 5th, the Kansas City, Missouri Police Department's Regional Police Academy will welcome 44 recruits to the 185th entrant officer class. Deputy Chief Ortiz will provide further employment information and numbers. As Mayor Pro Tem mentioned, this past month I also attended the KC United for Public Safety Symposium to discuss the crime stats and work of KCPD. This is the third convening of many officials, as she named, community partners and organization doing the work in Kansas City collaboratively to address violent crime and root causes. So I'm thankful that Mayor Pro Tem mentioned that today. She really has been a leader in that space, and I can't thank her enough for that. This Saturday, KCPD members and myself will be in Jefferson City for the Law Enforcement Memorial Service for the state of Missouri to honor fallen officers. Obviously, some of our officers will also be honored, and each year I escort some of our family members from KCPD's fallen officers up to put a flower on the wreath. So that's something that we still hold dear and keep in tradition. Next week, on May the 8th, KCPD will hold our annual memorial service ceremony right here at police headquarters on our front porch to honor the 120 fallen officers who have given their life in service to Kansas City. I want to take a moment, lastly, to recognize the work of all of our members. Already here in 2025, our staff has faced tough calls for service. We have responded to critical incidents, and we've been placed in dangerous situations, as we know that that's part of the job. But through it all, the resolve of the members of KCPD is something to witness. They have responded as trained, put in long hours, they never give up, and they continue to show up. It's an honor and a privilege to be sitting in the seat with the Chief's badge to continue to work for, support, and ensure that their service is valued in our city. So thank you for entrusting me with that position.
Thank you, Chief. And I'd like to also thank you. I know you were supposed to be on vacation, and after what happened with the firefighter, you were right there with all your support and our officers, and we really appreciate that. Thank you for everything you do. Any comments? Thank you. Okay, Investigation Bureau, Deputy Chief Niemeyer.
Good morning. I also, before I start, would like to say my condolences to firefighter Hoffman and all of KCFD. As many of you know, my brother was a fireman for over 25 years. So him and I have talked, and I know a lot of those guys personally and have grown up with them all along. So I just wanted to express that, and I also wanted to say my heart and prayers go out to Martin Copenaugh today. First, I'd like to introduce Captain Renty from the robbery unit. He's going to discuss, we've already heard about Detective Anderson and what happened this month with the arrest, but I asked Captain Renty to give an overview of his unit.
Good morning. I'm Captain Dion Renty, and I'm the commander of the robbery section. The robbery section consists of the robbery unit, FAU, which is the Fugitive Apprehension Unit, and CGIC, which is the Crime Gun Intelligence Center. Today, we're highlighting the robbery unit, but I want to take the time to acknowledge the great work that gets done by FAU, CGIC, their analysts, and administrative assistant. The robbery unit. They will not like this, but I want you to put a face with the members that make up this team, who I get the pleasure of working with each and every day. Starting with Sergeant David Dayton, Sergeant Craig Heralick, Detectives Nate Anderson, Katie Horine, Matt Vaccaro, Alexa Tarwater, James Campo, Addison Waterman, Jameson Rains, Chance Stewart, Audrey Crosby, and analyst Demi Maddox. What is a robbery? A robbery is the taking of property from a person by force or violence, or by threat of force or violence, which places them in fear. What do we do? The robbery unit investigates all armed, strong-armed, residential, business, and bank robberies. And although the FBI has jurisdiction over banks, we work in conjunction with them. So far this year, there have been 314 reported robberies. Next, I want to go over some robbery prevention tips and best practices based off some trends we're seeing with robberies. We've had several victims who were walking and talking on the phone or texting, and out of nowhere, someone appears with a weapon in their face. Don't be so focused on your devices that you're unaware of your surroundings. We've also had instances where folks have been sitting in their vehicles in a parking lot, and suddenly their doors are open, and they're staring down a weapon. Keep your doors locked. If at all possible, have somebody accompany you so you're not alone, because there is strength in numbers. We have seen an uptick in robberies that resulted from Facebook Marketplace transactions. I'm not disparaging this site, I'm just reporting on what we're seeing. If the price is too good to be true, or if there's no profile picture, or they keep changing the meetup location, those should be red flags. KCPD has 6 patrol division stations equipped with cameras. Makes for a great place for a transaction. Now, I don't want anyone saying I did everything that officer said and I was still robbed. These are tips to help increase your chances of not being victimized. Now, I understand people work hard for their property and valuables. But if someone is trying to take those things from you at gunpoint, let them have it. I'm not minimizing the violation. I'm just saying we can replace property, but we cannot replace you. These and more robbery prevention tips are located on our website at kcpolice.org. Now I want to cover a couple of cases the robbery unit handled within the last few months. Over a 6-month span, there were several robberies of fast food restaurants in Kansas City. A suspect entered each of these businesses armed with a handgun and pointed it at the employees while taking money from the registers. This happened at 17 different locations. We didn't have a lot to go on. But our detectives and analysts, for lack of a better phrase, put the pieces of the puzzle together and were able to identify a suspect based off an accessory he wore that had a distinct brand logo. That suspect was arrested and charged. During this same time, another suspect committed several robberies of gas stations in Kansas City. That suspect also entered the store wearing a mask, armed with a handgun, and pointed it at employees while taking money from the cash registers. That suspect committed 14 armed robberies in Kansas City and several others in a neighboring state. Again, we didn't have a lot to go on, but our detectives and analysts used the information they had at their disposal and were able to identify a suspect who was arrested. Even though that case was resolved in September, our detectives and county and federal prosecutors continued to work it. And a determination was made for that case to be handled at the federal level for a violation of the Hobbs Act, which is the robbery of commerce which crosses state lines. You see, the products and proceeds from those businesses come from and go to other states. This suspect is set for a federal grand jury next month. And I'd just like to say, we had a robbery unit detective recognized earlier, and I'm super proud of him. Just as I'm super proud of the rest of the men and women that make up that robbery unit. They are a passionate, motivated, hardworking group. And we're thankful for the support from the entire Violent Crimes Division and Major Kirkhoff, Major Kobanaw, Deputy Chief Niemeyer, and Chief Graves. I could go on and on about the excellent work the robbery unit does day in and day out, but I'm thankful for the opportunity to share this brief glimpse. I'm open for any questions, if any.
Any questions? Comments?
Just point of clarification, earlier, last year, a lot of situations with robberies of cars. And I believe, so there's a distinction between vehicle which has no one in it, so there's no armed robbery, versus someone who's maybe at a stop sign who, someone approaches him with a weapon. There's a distinction between those two, correct? Are we seeing a lot of, or talk to us about what you're seeing with regard to armed robberies of vehicles? Increase, decrease?
I'd say it's about steady from year to year. It just, it's usually based upon like the time of the year. We just, we'll have an uprising and then it'll dissipate. It just varies, but it's usually in line year to year, the same amount of what we call carjackings when they're occupied.
Thank you.
May I ask as a follow-up on that? We heard a lot, particularly as it related to Kia and Hyundais for some time. Have we seen, since there have been some interventions, both our own, the department's own provision of certain anti-theft devices, and then the automotive manufacturers making changes as well, a decline there, or do we continue to see the same level of activity?
I don't want to misspeak because that's more.
So
of a-
that would fall under the property crimes,
Sorry.
property crimes unit. So Detective Renty and his detectives wouldn't work, but I can get you the exact numbers.
Thank you.
Major Kobanaw comes back next week.
Thank you all.
Thank you. And we appreciate all those good tips. Thanks.
I'm sorry if I didn't say my items are under tab A, but obviously follow along. This is the blue sheet. As of today, in 2025, we have had 50 homicides as compared to 44 in 2024. In 2025, we have cleared 25 of those homicides, 12 homicides from the previous years for a clearance rate of 74%. But I'd like to note, before we move on from the blue sheet, as everyone is well aware, we had a long weekend this weekend, but we have now, I can confidently say, we have identified four out of those 5 cases are solved, and will be charged at some point. So you see the number of 74%, which is still a good clearance rate. That will go up significantly, hopefully by the end of the week or next week. In March, we had 15 homicides. Of those homicides, 12 of the 15 cases were cleared. 8 were cleared by arrest. 4 are solved but not yet cleared. And 3 are still under investigation. And if we break those down by division, we had 4 homicides in Center Zone, 0 in Metro, 3 in East Zone, 1 in North Patrol, 3 in South Patrol, and 4 in Shoal Creek. And as you can see, we currently have 12 homicides for the month of April. Our non-fatal shooting comparison report, and this is as of last Friday, April the 24th, we've had 92 non-fatal shootings. In 2024, we had 198 victims at this same time period. So we are down 54%. For the month of March, we had 21 non-fatal shooting victims, and in 2024, we had 51 non-fatal shooting victims for a 59% decrease for the month of March. And some of these cases that I'm going to discuss, I always like to give you case updates on what's happened in the last month. Some have already been discussed, but I'd like to discuss, we had an incident at Linwood in Brooklyn where officers interrupted a domestic violence situation in the back of a residence. When they approached the scene, the suspect fired upon them. The suspect initially fled the scene, but in the midst of the officers getting there, the victim remained unharmed. The Special Investigations Division unit worked to locate that suspect, and he was placed in custody and has now been charged in Jackson County Court. Prosecutor Johnson already discussed the street racing event with the ATV downtown. That case was worked by the assault squad, and the location of the suspect was led by our career criminal unit. The suspect was located and arrested out of state and has also been charged, as she discussed earlier. But I would also like to update the board that yesterday, the suspect's father was located and arrested as well. The Jackson County Prosecutor's Office has charged the father with harboring a fugitive. I'd like to thank them for their assistance on that. Again, you already heard the outstanding work of the robbery unit and Detective Anderson at the beginning of the board meeting, but I want to express that I know all the hard work that all the detectives of that robbery unit did on that specific case, and this is why we highlighted their unit for this month. And to conclude, I want to congratulate Sergeant Von Wolf of the Career Criminal Section. He was named as the Task Force Officer of the Year by the FBI. And with that, I will take any questions.
Any questions?
Maybe just one. I don't know if there's an answer to it, but you can help us understand. So it's positive to see the non-fatal shootings decreasing over last year, and that's a great trend to see, but the homicides are back up to where we saw the last couple of years before last. I know we got off to a rough start. It seemed like domestic violence was an issue, but that doesn't appear to be the issue, at least in the last 30 to 60 days. But are you drawing any conclusions or trends that we should think about over where we are today?
I don't know that I would draw any trends or conclusions, but I would just say, as you stated at the beginning of the year, I talked to the chief about this. I said I was a little worried because we were ahead of last year's numbers early, and a lot of that was domestic violence. Because in having worked this for so many years, you start off those first 3 months and your numbers are elevated from previous years. It's just like last year with non-fatals. Those numbers continue, the trend continues to rise. This year we had the second half of February into March, they slowed down in comparison to last year. It's a bit unpredictable. I would say if we hadn't had the weekend we had, we probably wouldn't even have this discussion if it wasn't for the last 3 or 4 days. So it's an issue. You know, we had one last night. I was at the scene last night, and I feel comfortable saying that was a robbery. That started out as a robbery. Coincidental that we were already having the robbery unit come and discuss robberies. That started out as a robbery that turned into a homicide. So it's kind of unpredictable on that.
Last night, that was the altercation at the store.
Yes, sir. At night, we had a homicide last night at 9th and Prospect. That began as a robbery.
Well, thank you for that. And I didn't expect that there would be any clear trend to look at today. It's just notable and something that obviously
I will say this, I will add one thing, and a couple of the homicides in this past month has been due to gun transactions. And it's people attempting to purchase a firearm from someone else. And it kind of goes into what we're talking about with the robbery unit. And, you know, these aren't Facebook Marketplace transactions. This is somebody wanting to buy a gun from somebody else, and then everybody's there, and it goes wrong. And then guns come out, and that turns into a homicide. So we have had several of those in this past month, which that is, I guess that would be a concern. That's not the 50, that's not the number of 50, but it is concerning in the last month that we've had those kinds of homicides occur over to gun transactions.
Thank you for that.
Deputy Chief, you note, and we never really talk about it that much lately, on the drug trafficking squad, you provided numbers there. Is that usually, numbers include 3.9 pounds of cocaine, 174 pounds marijuana, and others? Is that usually interdiction type stuff, the bus station, train station, or is that more broad?
They're combined. I will tell you, there are some, what I would consider long-term investigations that have contributed to that number as well. But yes, a lot of times there are large, the interdiction squad normally gets large quantities. That's what they do. But we do have a couple of long-term investigations, which I hope next board meeting I can discuss publicly, and there are some large amounts of narcotics that are being seized, recovered through those as well. So hopefully that investigation is coming to a close, and when it does, then I'll be able to present to you the numbers that came out of that as well.
Thank you.
So I had a question along those lines too. Have we noticed with, you know, the borders being more closed, that going down as a trend? Or, I mean, what have we noticed? How has that affected us?
I will say that I don't know how it's affecting, we'll see over the course of this year. But I will say that some of the intelligence information that I receive even from our detectives, street level, narcotics are getting harder certain types of narcotics are getting harder to locate or bring here. So obviously we are staying on top of, if someone is going to traffic narcotics, if they can't do it this way, they're going to try a different way. So, you know, we're changing, you have to change with what's changing in the entire United States. So what I'm getting at is yes, we hear that it's more difficult, but we also need to be ready for where's it going to come from then.
Okay, thank you. And one other question though, on the murder trends, homicides, I should say, going up. Would you say that trend is kind of normal when the weather is nicer and warmer out? Or are we still trending way above the normal during this season, I guess, is what I'm...
No, I think we're, you know, and you can see on the blue sheet where we were at each year in comparison to the last 5 years. There's a lot of factors. I mean, obviously the weather is always a factor. I always consider the weather to be one factor, but there's many other things. What's going on in the city, what's not going on in the city, all kinds of things can affect that number to go up and down, but weather is a factor always. And, you know, like I think last year I spoke about our winter last year was below zero for
Yeah.
seemed like forever. And that obviously is going to affect it. So, you know, as we warm up, that will affect it as well.
Okay. Any more questions?
Quick question, Deputy Chief, great work. I want to commend you on the clearance rate. I think you commented that it would be over 75% probably in the next few days. To what extent are we finding more input from the community that's helping drive? I mean, I know it's great work of your team, but also they have to get sort of the information on the street from somewhere. Are we finding that the community is more open to saying what they're seeing?
I think clearance rates are driven by, just like crime is driven by many factors. So of course, I think the homicide unit, I think the assault squad, along with them, all the robbery unit, this all plays into that because, you know, an investigation might start out as an assault and then 2 days later, it's now a homicide. And the assault squad detectives worked on that case. Or it starts out as a robbery and then it turns into a homicide. So it's a whole group of detectives working together. It's the community that comes forward and says, enough's enough. You know, another thing that we have today that we didn't have 20 years ago is we have a large amount of cameras. We have Ring doorbells. We have city cameras. We have police cameras. We have a lot of digital technology. I always go back. We're lucky enough to have our analyst. You know, there's a lot of things that's changed in the Violent Crimes Division over the last few years that continues to push that clearance rate higher and higher. And I stress this with the folks that work for me is that's our part of this. Our job is to solve these crimes and have the highest clearance rate as possible in investigations, because that's where we make a difference, because then that person cannot go on to continue to commit crime, especially with non-fatal shootings. It doesn't just have to be homicides, but you know, you see that non-fatal shooting number coming down. We arrest and prosecute people for aggravated assaults. That's going to make your homicide numbers come down as well. So it's a collaborative effort. There's a lot goes into these things, and we can all make assumptions on what it is, but that's a personal opinion. I think everybody plays a part in that.
Quick follow-up, don't we have a program in which owners of commercial businesses and just people on residential property can register their cameras at their home in our database?
Yes, and it's through LERC, and I'll be honest with you, I don't know the exacts of that. It is, yeah, and Chief says it's on the website on how to do it. I don't know the exacts of that, but it's through our Law Enforcement Resource Center.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Patrol Bureau,
Good morning.
Deputy Chief Maven.
I'll begin my report by highlighting some Patrol Bureau notable events that occurred during the reporting period. Then I'll present the median response time report, and I'll conclude with a report from the Traffic Division. Starting with the Events and Special Projects Division. Major Abby Martinez and Captain Sean Campbell coordinated KCPD security plan for the Big 12 women's and men's basketball tournaments, which took place March 5th through March 15th. The tournaments were a great success, due in no small part to the coordination between the T-Mobile Center, Cordish, the Kansas City Sports Commission, Kansas City Public Works, the Police Department, and many others. Some of the security measures employed during the event included enhanced screening, security sweeps, vehicle medication barriers, and extra patrols. The Events and Special Projects Division also coordinated the security plan for the St. Patrick's Day Parade, working closely with the event organizers, Public Works, Traffic, and Special Operations Divisions. I would also like to thank the Jackson County Sheriff's Office, Kansas City, Kansas Police Department, Shawnee, Kansas Police Department, and our federal partners who assisted with the parade. I'm happy to report that the event went off without incident, and we didn't have to make a single arrest in regard to the parade. And as we continue to prepare for FIFA World Cup 2026, the Events and Special Projects Division has been a leader in regional safety and security planning for the event. A particular focus in March was working with FIFA, Traffic, and other agencies' traffic units in an effort to define traffic escort expectations and transportation routes. Moving on to community interaction officers. During the month, they attended 26 community meetings. They hosted 4 CPTED community presentations, and these presentations provided a brief introduction of CPTED concepts and provided training to businesses and residents on proactive strategies they can take to protect their property by altering the physical environment. The Police Athletic League had a total of 1,869 visits during the month of March, with an average of 89 visits each day. These were both record highs. PAL also had 19 new enrollments. The 8 and under basketball team finished up a successful season in March, and the 12 and under basketball team also wrapped up their season, finishing third place in their division. Soccer season is currently underway, and PAL has 4 teams competing in the Northland Sports Alliance League. 2 3rd and 4th grade teams, a 4th and 5th grade all-girls team, and a 5th and 6th grade team. They also have a baseball team which began competing in March. And this month, PAL was able to hire a student to assist with the tutoring program twice a week. This student is a high school junior who maintains dual enrollment at Lincoln College Preparatory Academy and Longview Community College. Lastly, for PAL, the room used for tutoring received a makeover thanks to a generous donation of furniture by SSI Furnishings. The company also donated furniture to the Wellness and Resiliency Room and 4 large chairs that were used to create a sitting room in the gym area. Our social service specialists responded to the scene of a murder-suicide in North Patrol Division and spent several hours that evening with children and grandparents of the victims. They contacted Foster Adopt Connect, which provided the children an emergency guardianship advocate. The social service specialists also connected the family to grief counseling and worked with the children's school to make sure all the kids' needs were met. East Patrol CAN officers, gang intel, and EPD social service specialist worked to mediate a feud between 2 groups in the Oak Park neighborhood. They contacted members of both groups to discuss their ongoing issues with each other. They met with family members and assisted with relocating some of the group members. Our median response time report. The median response time for priority 1 calls during the month of March was 8 minutes and 13 seconds. That's a 20-second decrease compared to February, an 11-second decrease compared to March 2024. Median response time for priority 2 calls was 10 minutes and 31 seconds. That's a 5-second increase compared to February. However, to provide some context, it should be noted we've seen an increase in priority 2 calls response times in March compared to February in each of the previous 3 years. So this year, we had the smallest increase since 2022. Traffic Division report. There were 1,351 traffic accidents citywide in March 2025, a 3.8% increase compared to the previous month, and a 1.1% increase compared to March 2024. There were 5 fatal crashes during the month. And year to date, there have been 11 fatal crashes with a total of 13 victims. That's a 55% decrease in the number of fatalities compared to the same time last year. One of the fatal crashes in March, of the fatal crashes in March, 1 was a hit and run that is still under investigation. 2 have been solved and will be presented for prosecution once the case files are complete. And the remaining 2 were exceptionally cleared with the death of the culpable party. The department as a whole issued 5,075 traffic tickets during March 2025 and 14,568 tickets year to date. Both are significant increases compared to 2024. And if we look at impaired driving enforcement specifically, the DUI section conducted 10 Wolfpack operations in March with a combined total of 164 traffic stops. They issued 171 tickets and made 45 DUI arrests. There were an additional 62 DUI arrests not associated with Wolfpacks, bringing the total number of DUI arrests department-wide to 107 for the month. And finally, I want to highlight an enforcement operation the Traffic Division conducted during the reporting period. Drivers are required to change lanes if safe to do so when approaching MoDOT vehicles, law enforcement vehicles, and any other emergency vehicle with lights flashing. If drivers can't change lanes safely, they must slow down as they pass the emergency vehicles. The traffic unit conducted a move-over operation from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. on March 25th. They stopped over 200 vehicles and issued 76 move-over tickets and an additional 111 citations for other traffic violations. And that concludes my report. Do you have any questions?
Any questions? Well, I just wanted to say with PAL, I really appreciate everything that they do for those kids and everything. And I know a lot of those kids wouldn't even be able to participate in soccer if they weren't involved in that. And I just think we are making a difference, and that is where the village starts. And I just appreciate all the hard work of, everything you guys do to make that program a success and work with those kids and mentor those kids. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Comments?
We've previously discussed the potential seizure of vehicles that are engaged in ATV or other kind of illegal operations. And I understand other metropolitan departments have done the same. I think the city of St. Louis had an action a few weeks back in connection with that. We've previously talked to the board about potential state law changes that might or might not be necessary, but what do we need and what can we actually do now in terms of seizing vehicles that are engaged in these types of operations?
Seizure and forfeiture would be an outstanding tool, but recently we have gotten past where on a city level, we can fine vehicles and increase that fine for repeat offenders. And so now, if you get arrested for street racing or being a spectator for street racing, if we seize your car, you have to pay more money to get it back on each subsequent violation. And so that's a new phenomenon, so we'll see how that influences that behavior moving forward. So we are happy with that. But ultimately, you're right. If we can seize and forfeit that car, that will be a great tool to use too.
I assume, though, we're currently able, because I feel like we've done it too, we are currently able to temporarily seize or tow, I think, in our own operations.
We can tow, correct. And I mean, so seizure and forfeiture is a whole nother thing, but yes,
Maybe
we are
I'm
able to
thinking of
take the car.
different things. So I'm just thinking of a seizure, a pure Fourth Amendment seizure, the vehicle's engaged in some sort of activity. I imagine we live under the same state law that the St. Louis Police Department does. So maybe the seizure is too broad a term. What's allowing them to seize and what may not be allowing us to seize, or can we seize?
Well,
like
we
they
can, based off of a recent city ordinance change. We'll take those cars now.
Okay.
Before, we had to prove that we could take the car before if we were trying to further investigation to figure out who the owner is.
Understood.
Now, if we identify that car, we can take it, and then the owner will have to pay fines to get it back. And if it participates in street racing again, we take it a second time, then the fines will increase. And on the third time, it'll keep increasing. And so that is a new tool that we have just started using.
And when you talk about forfeiture, now forfeiture is, that's probably not allowed yet, right? I mean,
Not in
forfeiture-
Missouri. I mean, there's other states,
Right.
other jurisdictions where that is allowed, and that is very aggressive. I mean, so we're all for any tools, but we are happy right now with the recent city ordinance changing and the tow lot administering those fees. So we'll see how that works too.
And we're going to continue working at the state level to try to mimic some of those other states that have those laws in place where we can actually seize people's vehicles. And I mean, seize them in such a way that they are kept.
Right. So we're really looking for forfeiture
Forfeiture,
in
yes.
some
Right.
ways. Yeah. Understood.
Thank you.
Because if I may, because one other challenge I understand, I'm sorry, Madam
That's
Chair.
okay.
Seizure is an interesting and helpful tool. However, the vehicle is stolen, I guess forfeiture too, right? You run into a concern if someone stole someone's vehicle and then they're stunt driving with it or something like that. The deterrent aspect isn't quite the same. It's a more temporary interruption.
And that will, and it's a whole process that goes through. It doesn't, any item, we don't seize and immediately forfeit it. We have to do the investigation. And I mean, to your point, even with current towing practices, if the vehicle is stolen, then we return it to the owner. But it is a good deterring effort if you have folks coming in or driving their parents' vehicles or some of your joyride people or people from out of town, taking that car and requiring or having aggressive fees to get it back has shown promise.
Thank you.
Great, thank you. Okay, Administrative Bureau, Deputy Chief Ortiz.
Good morning, Commissioners and Mr. Mayor. I will provide you an update on 3 areas: staffing, recruitment, and our Police Academy's community initiatives. This information is under tab C on your books. Before I begin, I would like to introduce our new Employee Relations Manager at Human Resources, Sarah Miller. Sarah, will you stand up, please? Sarah brings extensive employee relations experience, having recently joined us from the city of Kansas City, Missouri. Welcome to KCPD, Sarah.
Thank you. We appreciate you.
Now let's dive into our staffing overview. As of March 31st, KCPD personnel include 1,107 law enforcement officers. We also had 534 professional staff members. And I am pleased to share that we have 44 new police officer candidates confirmed for the 185th class, which begins May 5th. This marks the second consecutive class exceeding 40 candidates, a benchmark not achieved since 2007. Special thanks to our recruiting team, background investigators, Sergeants Herden and Alden, Ruth, Mandy, Captain Pinkerton, and Major Smith. Their contribution is invaluable. Our new candidates come from 3 main sources: 20 from department members referrals, 22 from recruiters, and 2 from career fairs. We're also processing 12 lateral candidates, and they are in different stages of the hiring process. Our communications unit also continues to grow, with 23 applicants in different stages of the hiring process. Now let's move on to our recruitment efforts.
I'm sorry, can I interrupt for just a second? I just want to sit on that last number. I can't remember the last time we've had 23 candidates for the communications unit in the process. I just want to celebrate that for just a second. Okay, thank you.
Yes.
And those numbers are even getting better as of today. So thanks to the incredible work our recruiters and the support that we have received from our commissioners and pro term Mayor Parshow. So thank you. Yeah. Now on your screens, you will see our next law enforcement testing dates. Recruitment remains one of our top priorities. We're attracting diverse and motivated talent. For instance, on April 4th, we co-hosted a 30 for 30 women's event with Park University. This event was live streamed to a national audience. The event successfully generated great interest from many participants, and one student already applied for our fall internship program. We're grateful to Park University and Officer Sutton Smith for building that partnership. Our college internship program continues to grow and improve as well. We now offer internships 3 times a year: spring, summer, and fall. The fall 2025 internship application period will remain open through May 15, 2025. We'll briefly go over a few program highlights. Our current spring interns visited the helicopter unit and enjoy a scenic ride over the Truman Sports Complex. Also, one intern has already applied for a call taker position while completing his degree. I will give you some statistics from our summer 2024 internship program. We had 9 interns at that time. Out of those 9, 2 are now officers on break-in training. 1 is currently in the academy. 1 works as a detention officer, and 1 is a criminal records clerk. On June 9th, 2025, we will welcome 20 summer college interns. We're looking forward to meeting them. Now let's move on to our academy and community engagement. Listed above are our upcoming recruitment events. We continue to strengthen community relationships through academy-hosted programming. Last month, we talked about the Women's Personal Safety Seminar, which drew 95 participants. Just a few weeks ago, South Patrol Division hosted another seminar with 53 participants. These empowering sessions build public trust and confidence, and we enjoy reading those positive reviews and feedback that we get from them. Our defensive tactics personnel is listening, and we're continuously improving the training based on the feedback that we receive. On your screen, you have the dates and locations for the next Women's Self-Defense Seminar. We look forward to seeing more participants. Our Citizens Police Academy partnered with the Crime Lab for a tour and hands-on activities. Participants get to play crime scene technicians for a few hours. They learn a few techniques and express that this is one of the best time they had in the Citizens Police Academy. Our next Citizens Academy will run from September 2nd to November 18th. During our community event, we're encouraging the public to call 816-234-3505 to join the next Citizens Academy. Wellness activities. On March 20, Chief Graves swore in 3 new police chaplains. Chaplains Wright, Eubanks, and Ireland. Together with our wellness unit, they remain actively engaged across our department, supporting the mental, emotional, and spiritual health of our personnel. Finally, we remain committed to strengthening our workforce, engaging our community, and supporting the well-being of every member in our department. While challenges persist nationally, we're leading with action, innovation, and accountability. That concludes my presentation. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Major. Deputy Chief Ortiz, we appreciate all your hard work, and it really shows with our numbers. And Chief, I know you went to bat over the last budget when we, decided after we did that city search of what the pay should be to get that up, and the numbers are showing. And again, with Captain Pinkerton and Major Smith, we appreciate their hard efforts, and I'm hearing about that today with their hard work and working with our community leaders and getting things set up to really keep the ball rolling and keep that those numbers going. So thank you. And I know Ron, I'll say I know he's going to talk about it, I'm sure, today, but he's putting on some events for us too, and we appreciate the community's involvement and support in this.
Absolutely. Thank you,
Any
ma'am.
questions or comments? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Executive Service Bureau, Deputy Chief McCullen, looks like you got a lot today.
Do. Thank you. Good morning, Commissioners and Mr. Mayor. All items of the Executive Services Bureau are located under Tab D of your board book. First, before I begin, I'd like to recognize Telecommunicators Week, which was April 13th through April 19th. During the week, several events took place to make our first responders feel special and appreciated. Meals were provided on all 3 shifts by both internal and external groups. addition to providing meals, the wellness section brought in licensed massage therapists from Fit Muscle and Joint, which was well received. The communications unit was also visited by Lucky 13 Rescue, who provides therapy dogs for first responders. The unit received more than 150 thank you cards from various department members and our friends from over at City Hall, and neatly displayed by Executive Services Bureau Administrative Assistant Teresa Nichols, as you can see on the board there. Members of the communications unit have requested walking pads for their workstations over the last several years, and finally, we were able to purchase them. I don't know if you've been up to the communications unit, but their desks are on risers so they can raise and lower them. And having a treadmill there so that they're not just sitting all day has been something that they've been asking for years. So you can see part of Major Williams' office is now overtaken by treadmills in the boxes. So. On April 11th, 2025, we had the privilege of attending the 2025 Telecommunicators Appreciation Celebration hosted by Mark. We heard lots of stories of heroism, to include the presentation of the 2025 Outstanding Team Performance in a Critical Incident Award being given to the telecommunicators for their efforts during the Chief Celebration shooting. They did an outstanding job. I know we've talked about that many times, but it was nice for our telecommunicators to be recognized in such a prestigious event. So I know Commissioner Kramer and Whitaker were able to join us, and it was a fun event, and we look forward to going to it next year as well. On
We
March 7th,
appreciate the invite on that. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but that was really, really nice, really special. Glad to see that.
you bet, and yeah, it's we've been going to those for the last several years, and they really, really are truly amazing stories that you get to hear from our behind-the-scenes heroes. So it was very nice. On March 7th, we had our inaugural call taker graduation, where we recognized 4 of our newest first responders. This was attended by family, friends, and other department members, and well received by our graduates. This is something that we came up with. We've been talking about it for several months. How can we do an event to recognize our first responders in a way similar to our officers? And we came up with this, and it was very, very nice and well received. And it was nice to look out in the audience and see everybody, friends, family, department members in attendance. And I got to tell you, the graduates were very appreciative. Had several from previous classes ask about, well, why couldn't we do it for ours? And I wish I could. I wish I could bring them all in and do it. All we can do is go forward. But next.
I just want to note on that picture, the call taker in the middle actually attended one of our Citizens Police Academies.
Nice.
And we will continue these graduation ceremonies with our next one scheduled for May 1st at 1 o'clock in the headquarters community room. You all should have received an invitation to that. I hope we can see you there. This is open to anybody and everyone who wants to attend. So that's it with regard to Telecommunicators Week.
Right. And I know for a fact a few of us will be there, so.
Good.
We look forward to
Yes.
it.
Yeah.
Good. We look forward to seeing you there. It was really fun. I could go on and on. I can't say enough good things about it. It was fun to do it. Okay, moving on to our items. Item A, budget transfers for fiscal year 2024-25. The final general fund budget transfer presented to you on April 21st, 2025 inadvertently included a $539 transfer from an account containing a credit balance. The action that should have been taken was to have the credit balance in place and transfer the 539 within the fund. Therefore, I recommend transferring $539 within commodities from the Financial Services Unit to the Personnel Division. Unless you have any questions, I recommend approval.
Any questions?
Move approval.
Second.
All in favor? Say
Aye.
aye. Any opposed? Okay.
Item B, adoption of fiscal year 2025-26 budget. I request the adoption of the annual budget to operate the police department for fiscal year 2025-26. The total budget for appropriations from all sources is $343,130,291 compared to $318,775,980 for fiscal year 2024-25. This budget recognizes appropriations of $318,595,246 from the city and $24,535,045 from other sources. In addition, existing appropriations will be reestablished from encumbrances deemed by the city to be continuing in nature and grants. The exact amount of the appropriations to be reestablished in fiscal year 2025-26 cannot be determined until after fiscal year 2024-25 books are closed. We are committed to continuing our recruitment efforts and paying our members a competitive wage. Police officers will receive one pay step, if not at the top step, on their anniversary, and members at the top step will receive a 2% increase at the beginning of the fiscal year. Sergeant and commander steps will be adjusted at the beginning of the fiscal year, and those not at the top will receive a step increase on their anniversary. As promised by Chief Graves, during fiscal year 2024-25, the department contracted with a third-party vendor to perform a comprehensive study of our professional staff pay. One major change that came from the study was to reduce the number of years to reach the top of the pay scale from 14 years to 11. Professional staff will receive one pay step, if not at the top step, on their anniversary. Members at the top step will receive a one-time longevity pay at the rate of 2% at the beginning of the fiscal year. Professional staff in the open range below the top step will receive a 4% pay increase on their anniversary. The new professional staff pay scale will take effect before salary raises or longevity pay is issued. The department will continue recruitment incentive programs including $500 to members who recruit candidates for all open positions and $2,500 to members hired who meet the retention requirements for detention officer, call taker, dispatcher, or fleet operations technician 2. Much like fiscal year 24-25, this was a smooth and collaborative budget process. We met with the mayor, each city council member, and routinely with the finance department, and will continue to do so in fiscal year 2025-26. I would like to thank Finance Director Tammy Queen and retired Budget Officer Krista Morrison, who worked closely with KCPD's fiscal team. I would like to finish by thanking Major Josh Heinen and Budget Manager Christine Ryder, along with her team, Sean Cawthon, Rona Hutchinson, and Darrell Woodward for their hard work and long hours during the budget process. Also want to recognize the FOP, with who we worked closely with to develop this year's budget. We will continue this collaboration with the fiscal year 26-27 budget process. With that being said, unless you have any questions, I recommend adoption of fiscal year 25-26 budget.
Any questions?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it.
Make a quick comment. I really want to commend you, Deputy Chief, and your team. It's very easy to sit there for a minute and read that out, but the work that went into this is tremendous, and it is not taken for granted by you and your team, the city, all of the collaborators, FOP, that came together to bring this in on time at the end of April. So I commend you and your team.
Thank you. You weren't around here for previous budget years, but last year, or the current budget year that we're in, and this going forward, has been really a great working relationship between KCPD and the city, and we had regular meetings with Mayor Lucas, things we have not always enjoyed back and forth. So it really was a great collaboration, and all the city council members met with each and every one of them, sometimes on multiple occasions, but it's really been good, and I'm hopeful that we continue that relationship.
I just wanted to acknowledge, as people are hearing this who are streaming in or whatnot, they hear that and they think, oh, but a lot of work went into that. So thank you, and thank you for mentioning that it was an improvement over previous years.
Extremely. Yes, I mean, it really has. This has been nice.
Yes.
Thank you. Item C, bid number 2024-5, ammunition munitions renewal. On March 19, 2024, the board awarded a one-year contract for ammunition munitions to Sunset Law Enforcement and Gulf States Distributors. The original contract period was from May 1st, 2024 through April 30th, 2025, with an option to renew for 3 additional one-year periods. Both Sunset Law Enforcement and Gulf States Distributors have agreed to an additional one-year contract with no price increase. I recommend approval for a one-year contract renewal with both companies beginning May 1st, 2025 and ending April 30th, 2026 for an anticipated total expenditure of $582,884. If approved, this will be the first renewal.
Any
I forwarded
questions?
to you all this morning an Excel spreadsheet that lists what was being purchased as part of this, these two bids.
Appreciate the detail.
Yes.
Thank you for that. With that, I'd move approval.
Second?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, motion's approved.
Item D, excess workers' compensation coverage renewal. The department retains a liability fund for workers' compensation, which is administered through the Office of General Counsel and managed by the company Thomas McGee Group. The Division of Workers' Compensation for the state of Missouri requires the police department to purchase excess workers' compensation insurance. Lockton Companies Incorporated provided renewal pricing of $241,972 per the City of Kansas City contract EV 2753. Unless you have questions, I request your approval to renew the department's excess workers' compensation coverage from Lockton Companies for $241,972 from May 1st, 2025 through April 30th, 2026.
Any questions?
Maybe just one, and I'm going to vote to approve this, it's appropriate, but are we seeing any hardening in the insurance market, or is this about where we were last year? I couldn't go back and compare it.
This is about, I mean, we're trending in a about the same. I mean, there's
Same
not
increase.
a crazy jump in the market.
I move approval.
Second?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion's approved.
Item E, blanket building and property insurance. On April 23rd, 2024, the board approved the award of a one-year contract renewal to provide blanket building and property insurance coverage to Lockton Companies Incorporated through Zurich, North America, per the city contract EV 2753. During this past contract period, KCPD's property values remained constant at $116,914,514. By leveraging our values With the city's building coverage, Lockton Companies was able to obtain coverage for $310,513 annually. Unless you have questions, I request your approval to renew the department's blanket building and property insurance coverage from Lockton Companies for $310,513 for May 1st, 2025 through April 30th, 2026.
Quick
I move
question.
approval.
Quick question for you. We've talked about this before. Part of what made budgets difficult in the past when things were a little tighter was we wondered what are things that the Board of Police Commissioners needs to handle versus the city. If I have my Board of Police Commissioners hat on, I would say it's a city building, so if a tree falls through or something of that sort, it's their liability to both fund and insure, which this sounds like it has elements of. Is the Board of Police Commissioners involved in this activity because the way the budget works assigns it to BOPC to fund, or is there some other rationale?
We own the contents. The contents inside is what we are insuring. The building is insured, so if a tree falls on the building, then that's
Still the city.
covered by the city. So we just cover our contents, radio equipment, our robots, vehicles, anything inside computer equipment.
So that $161 million estimate, I believe you read, was of the real property, though, the buildings themselves, right?
Correct. 116 million. That's just stuff inside.
So you're saying that's
Property.
the stuff,
That's property, not buildings. That's
that's
properties.
personal property in the classic sense, amounts to 116 million
Yes.
inside the structures. And so this would just be coverage in connection with that. All right. Understood. Thank you.
Any other questions?
So prior to restating my motion to approve, so this is for items in the building, not the building itself.
Yes, ma'am. Contents.
So with that, I move approval.
Second?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, motion's approved.
Item F, bid number 2023-11, ballistic protection vests renewal. On May 24, 2022, the board approved a one-year contract to Ed Rohr Safety Products to provide ballistic protection vests. The original contract period was from June 1st, 2022 through May 31st, 2023, with an option to renew for 4 additional one-year periods. This will be the third renewal period. The department is looking to switch to a lighter, more flexible, and comfortable vest that offers the same level of protection. However, this cannot be accomplished before the current contract expires. Unless you have any questions, I recommend approval to renew a 6-month contract with Ed Rohr Safety Products for an anticipated expenditure of $482,968 while we identify and test a new ballistic protection vest.
Any questions?
So is this the new vest that we're seeking, or is it just a?
It's the current one to provide, is to extend our contract. Instead of asking for a year, we're doing 6 months while we transition to the new vest, which we will bring back to you.
So buy what we've been buying, and then we'll look to a new vendor or a new material after that?
Correct.
Got it. Move approval.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
Item G, drones as first responders. Drones as first responders is aimed at offering operational improvements in public safety, optimized deployment of patrol officers, time, and cost savings. The drones also provide a unique opportunity for the department to build positive police-community relations through enhanced response times and calls for service. This program has the potential to reduce risks and injuries due to real-time updates provided by drones and free up officers to devote time to engage with the community and proactively respond to neighborhood concerns. These new first responders offer significant operational benefits, cost savings, and improvements in public safety. Unless you have any questions, I recommend approval to purchase 8 DJI Dock 3 drones and ancillary equipment from Unmanned Vehicle Technologies for a total expenditure of $600,000 utilizing funds from the Police Foundation of Kansas City and the Public Safety Sales Tax.
Just a couple of follow-up questions. So if approved, how soon do these get deployed?
We have a target date of the 1st of September.
And I would assume there's training and other procedures that would go along with the operation of the drones.
Yes, getting our drone operators licensed very much the same way as like a pilot's license. So we need to do that, develop policies.
And then once deployed, will that factor into analyzing the response times? So as we look at response times now for priority 1 or priority 2, if a drone responds, does that influence that?
It should, because it's going to draw from CAD data. So when this drone is on scene, we'll be able to know that it's on scene, so it factors into the response time, so yes.
Thank you.
Quick question for you. On the public safety sales tax funds, this is just, because I don't remember voting on it, this would be 24, 25, and in the allocation that we had put before you previously?
Yes, these are it's the 500,000 that is in public safety sales tax this fiscal year right now that we are currently in, and then that will spend it out.
Got it. I think I remember that, but I'm slipping, but.
There's none in there for next, going into, yes.
So quick question. When I read through the information, it looks like the Chula Vista Police Department is cited that in their experience, that using the drones as first responders helped reduce use of force incidents. Have we, in analyzing this, I know we did our homework, but did we reach out to other departments that have used these to understand the accuracy of that, or how they use them and what their experience was?
Yes, ma'am, we have. Matter of fact, myself, the chief, and the executive team, we had a meeting with the police chief of El Paso, and they couldn't say enough good things about it. And yes, they allude to the fact that it does reduce officer injuries to citizens, which would be your use of force question.
It would be great to, after some point when this is implemented, just have a bit of a readout of how it's going.
You bet.
Well, and I know, I'm sorry, I was
go
going to
ahead.
say Major Williams, didn't he go out to Vegas or somewhere?
Major Williams is our resident
Studied that?
drone expert.
Yeah. Do you want to
I have
comment
him
real
on
fast?
standby here, Greg, if you want to come up.
I saw
What's
him
up?
getting anxious
I-
there, that's why.
He does. We
may
we
beat the
prepped
chief to the
before
punch
this.
there, right?
We prepped for this, but he got me to a certain level, and I knew I might have to call him
Yeah.
out of the bullpen.
No, you did a great job. No, we did actually talk to a number of.
Thank you, Major.
Wonderful job, actually. We talked to a number of agencies. The command staff was very engaged. Like I said, they actually met with El Paso, Texas, about their program. I've been to California about another program. So we looked at a multitude of systems. They were all different in nature. And we came on, this was the best bang for the buck for the cost involved, for scaling, and then it actually allows us to pivot in the future too, because this technology is such vastly improving day to day. For instance, El Paso uses a Dock 1. We will have a Dock 3 only because that's the new version of what's out right now. So if you have any specific questions, but yes, we've done our due diligence with regard to the response times. I'm sure we'll probably categorize it in its own little column, like, hey, you know, with the dock or with the drone as a first responder, here's where we're at. Without it, it's very easy to capture that data now with our CAD internal measures.
Well, I'm excited that we're using technology, but like I said, after some point, I don't know if it's 6 months or whatnot, kind of a readout of how it's going. So with that, I approve.
Chief, did you have something you wanted to comment to?
No, I was just going to give context of how that probably comes about with the reduction, either use of force or officer injuries, is just having that bird's eye view and really guiding officers in the safest way to approach a situation instead of just going there not knowing exactly what you're walking into. It gives you a little bit of a view or some information ahead of time.
Good background. Thank you, Chief.
Yes, awesome. Okay, is there a motion to approve?
I move approval.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Motion's approved.
Item H, Microsoft Enterprise Agreement. December 2013, the Board of Police Commissioners migrated to an enterprise agreement with Microsoft. This agreement affords the department the ability to provide our members with a software infrastructure that can maintain all users on the same versions of Microsoft software. Microsoft continues to offer on-premise software and support. However, they are moving its focus to the cloud-based platform. The department obtained pricing for a phased approach of transitioning from on-premise to a cloud-based platform. This phased approach will allow the department to transition at a pace that fits our needs and the services we provide to our members. Unless you have any questions, I recommend approval to renew the enterprise agreement with Insight Public Sector for a first-year transition cost of $613,286.54, increasing to a total expenditure of $2,156,682.12 by the end of the 3 years, utilizing the Missouri State contract for best pricing.
Any questions?
Move approval.
Second?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion's approved.
Item I, TBL Systems Incorporated renewal. In cooperation with the city, our department obtained a mobile web electronic citation package and stop report solution from Thin Blue Line Systems Incorporated, also known as TBL. The system has been in place for several years and is designed to improve officer safety, efficiency, speed, and accuracy. The annual subscription renewal for the period of May 1st, 2025 through April 30th, 2026 is $499,702.44. Unless you have any questions, I recommend approval.
Any questions?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion's approved.
Item J, antivirus software for department network renewal. In May 2022, the department obtained Bitdefender antivirus software and auto update services from ICE Systems. By entering into a 3-year agreement for Bitdefender antivirus software, the department will save nearly $50,000. Unless you have any questions, I recommend a 3-year renewal of Bitdefender antivirus software for $131,652.
Any questions?
Move approval.
Second?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion's approved.
Unless you have any questions, that completes my
Thank you. Okay, Office of Executive Officers, Deputy Chief Young.
Morning.
Morning.
Today we have the vacation leave policy for your approval. It is a 5-year review, and other than some clarifying language, the policy is essentially unchanged, so I recommend approval.
Any questions? No? Is there a motion to approve?
I move approval.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Motion's approved. Okay. And Office of General Counsel, Nathan.
Good morning, Commissioners. I have one action item for you, and it's under tab F in your board book. Elijah Jameson is appealing the private officer licensing unit's denial of his application for an unarmed private security license. The basis for this denial is Jameson's resignation in lieu of termination from the Kansas City, Kansas Community College Police Department. The Code of State Regulations 17 CSR 10-2.05030 provides in relevant part that resigning while under the threat of discharge from a law enforcement agency shall make an individual ineligible for licensure. If you have any questions, please let me know. I've provided some additional information for you from Mr. Jameson regarding his version of the circumstances for his departure. Otherwise, the private officer licensing unit recommends upholding the denial of this application.
Any questions?
I move to accept the recommendation and uphold the denial.
Second?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, it's been upheld. Motion approved.
Thank you, Commissioners. The remainder of my report will be in closed session.
And Office of Community Complaints, Meryl.
Good morning.
Morning.
You'll find our statistical reports in your board packets underneath tab G. So if you have any questions about that, we remain for that. However, this morning, I'll have Senior Legal Analyst Karen Williams. She'll be coming forth to present information from this year's annual report. Getting ready for that. Also, just want to take notice that I have all of the staff of the Office of Community Complaints except our office coordinator, Ms. Ori Rogers, who's under the weather this morning. They are all here today. I want to be sure that the community and the commissioner and the department sees who actually works in the office and not just my smiling face each month. So I just want to thank them for being here. Also, last but not least, the Office of Community Complaints, we're in the midst of a diaper drive. Not for us. We're good. But we're working with an organization called Happy Bottoms, and we are collecting diapers in the sizes 4, 5, and 6, which are the most needed. How long is that going to last, Karen? Do we know? Till the 14th of May. So if you have any diapers or would like to contribute, we have a receptacle in the foyer of our office, and any donations or contributions you would make to that would be greatly appreciated. So without further ado, I present to you Karen Williams.
Thank you. And thank you all for this report. Really appreciate the detail and everything in here.
Good morning, everyone. I'm going to present just a few pages out of the annual report that kind of cover the majority of our statistics for the year. So 2024 by the numbers. We were up just a very slight number of complaints from 2023, an extra 4 complaints. So 338 were what was received last year. And as you can see in here, the great majority, 2/3 of them, we handled internally in the office. So we have a very robust mediation and conciliation program, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in a few minutes. And then 1/3 of them were forwarded to internal affairs for investigation. So slight increase in the number received, slight decrease in what we forwarded for investigation, and slight increase in what we handled internally. So here's our comparison for 2024 to 2023. You'll notice, as I mentioned at the very beginning of last year when I presented the annual report, is that we created another category called a non-KCPD complaint. And as we've discussed before, the Office of Community Complaints is a little bit of a misnomer. We get a lot of things aside from just police complaints against the KCPD. And those range from anything that could be handled through 311, like snow removal, down trees, dogs barking, and then complaints against other police departments that obviously we have no jurisdiction over. So you'll see that there's a big chunk of those that were categorized differently this year, and that amounted to 74 complaints of all those things that I just mentioned, among many others. Again, improper procedure tends to be the most common category that we classify complaints as, followed by conduct. And then you can see the rest of them kind of fall into line behind that. Just a reminder of our different complaint dispositions as you look through the annual report. Sustained, meaning there's a violation of policy. Not sustained, meaning that the evidence doesn't really guide us one way or the other, that there was an act of misconduct. And then exonerated, meaning we found no violation of policy or procedure. We also used 3 other ones in the course of the office. Closed, because it's either not our jurisdiction, or there's a criminal investigation going on, or a third-party complaint without a match from the aggrieved party, things like that. Withdrawn, fairly self-explanatory, and non-cooperation as well, fairly self-explanatory. So looking at what we reviewed in 2024, these are the complaints that were sent back to us from Internal Affairs. So those 109 complaints are consisting of those filed in the latter months of 2023, and then throughout the year of 2024. Anything that we got back in the office in that calendar year. So you can see again, improper member conduct, improper procedure, majority of what was looked at. Only 72 of those 109 investigations had a full and complete investigation, meaning that the complainant participated in the process, provided a statement. We had, once the complainant provides a statement, then that indicates that we'll go further with the investigation. So then we have reports, officer statements, or member statements, not necessarily officers, member statements, the body cams, or any other video, reports, anything that has any relevance to what that situation entails, comprises a full and complete investigation. So we reviewed 72 of those last year. As you can see, 16% or 17 complaints were sustained, 30 were not sustained, and 25 were exonerated. So the percentages that are on there are referring to that group of 109 as a whole, when obviously if you just look at those three categories, the sustained will go up, the not sustained will go up, the exonerated will go up percentage-wise. Of the 17 complaints that we had, there were 2 harassment complaints, 10 improper member conduct complaints, and 5 improper procedure complaints. And these are the different policies and procedures that we looked at that we found a violation in regard. I mentioned that we talk a little bit about mediations and conciliations. Mediations, again, it's kind of a slow process to pick back up after the pandemic. We're still working on that. But we did have 2 complaints where we brought together the complainant and the subject member along with an independent third-party mediator to resolve that issue. The reason we're finding that we don't get a whole lot of complaints that want to mediate is because a lot of times when we reach out to them and talk to them, a lot of our complainants will say, well, I really just want a supervisor to know. And with the way that mediation is set up, mediation is confidential between that complainant and that subject member. We don't tell supervisors or anything about that. We don't put that on their record or on their demeanor report. So it doesn't go to a supervisor, and therefore the supervisor is never advised of all that. So I think we're going to continue to see, I think that the mediation numbers will be low, but it is still something we want to offer to our complainants. On the flip side, we have our conciliation process, which is where we handle the vast majority of our complaints. This is when we will take the complaint in, we will identify who that subject member is or members, and we will forward that complaint over to the member's chain of command, and it kind of works its way down to the supervisor level. Mini investigation is done by that member, by that supervisor, and then they talk to the complainant, they talk to the member, and then they also report back to us what their findings were. So some of the ones that we conciliate are errors in police reports. We do some clarification and education on what is and is not departmental policy. So we get some things that aren't necessarily complaints, but maybe misunderstandings about how things work. Towing is a big part of that. Interpretation of local laws, city ordinances, state statutes, and then just general customer service type issues. So you can see the vast majority of our conciliations were successful, 57 of those. Unsuccessful on occasion when we can't get a hold of folks, or they're unhappy with it, and then non-cooperation when they just do not participate in the process, even though they've opted for it. I'll briefly touch on our 5-year trends, our historical comparison. You can see the number of complaints that we are receiving is continuing to increase. The number of complaints that we are working, meaning the ones that are going through internal affairs for an investigation, is decreasing. Again, that plays into the role of mediation and conciliation. And then our complaints by finding, and I apologize, that's a little difficult to read with all those numbers up there, but our sustained rate is going up. Our not sustained is staying fairly level, and our exonerated is staying fairly level. Non-cooperations, you'll see that those numbers decreased pretty much after the pandemic. And a lot of that is because, I again attribute that to internal affairs and the fact that when people are participating in the process, we no longer require them to come down to the office to give a statement. They can do that over the telephone. Those are recorded and those are provided in our investigative packets that we receive, our investigative files. So we can listen to the same recording. And then, of course, last year, no complaints were withdrawn. 5-year trends of the disposition, so 704 complaints in the last 5 years. 52 were sustained, 167 not sustained, 184 exonerated, and then you see the other 3 categories there. So, and then finally, we welcome you to come in, come talk to us, come walk through the process with us. So there are various ways to reach us. Online, obviously, we have our website where people can file complaints. Feel free to stop by, and then also there's a QR code so you can follow us on social media. Any questions?
I have a question. Yes. Talk to us a little bit about the non-cooperation piece. What's the process? What's the timing? A complainant makes a complaint. Do they make it online or do they have to call it?
However they want to participate,
So
or
they
however
make-
they want to file it.
They file a complaint, and then at some point, we reach out to them for follow-up, and they don't respond. Is there a time frame? Is there a number of contacts we try to make before we categorize that as non-cooperation? Share with us a little bit about that.
Sure. Every complaint that comes into the office, we make an attempt to talk to them. And so if they file it here in the office, then we send it on to internal affairs or to conciliation or mediation, and that does not become an issue. We do occasionally run into where we get a complaint form that just doesn't have enough information for us to be able to determine how we need to handle it, or we can't find the incident that they're talking about, things like that. Our intake analyst, which is Diane Mazzucato, will talk, she will make an effort to talk to every person, whether that's sending them a letter because we don't have a phone number, whether that's leaving them voicemails, emails, so be it. Because we are on such a timeline for having investigations done, we can't leave them open indefinitely to try to reach them, but I'm going to say probably a good 10 to 15 days is what we do make multiple attempts to reach them. On the flip side, non-cooperations that go to internal affairs will contact them to give a statement, and that's the first step in the process. And I don't want to speak too much for their process because I don't know how many attempts they make, but I do know they make telephone attempts, they will send letters, they will send emails. And then it comes back to us, and usually we have to close it at that point.
Okay, great. So a good faith effort is
Yes,
made
absolutely.
to try to reach them. Okay, thank you.
Also have to add that even if we are unable to make contact with the complainant, generally based on the information, if it's a complete complaint, if it's something that we think that needs to not say to be addressed through the investigative process, but maybe we need to take a look at it to see if maybe there's some body cam footage or anything, just so that we can notify the department if there's an issue that needs to be addressed, even though we don't have an appropriate complaint. We still take those steps as well, just to make sure that all of the concerns or allegations have been addressed in some way, shape, or form. So everything may not go to a full investigation, but everything is addressed in some way. I also want to say, when Karen and I first started, I think non-cooperation was the highest category that we had each year, but those numbers have dropped precipitously, and I think that that is due in large part to some of the changes that were made as a result of the pandemic, allowing us to take complaints via the website and things of that nature, but also through the efforts of the police department, the command staff and the supervisors to make themselves available to do those conciliations. Our focus is still, the main thing is still the investigation of the complaints, but I and my staff do so much more problem solving now, and that problem solving is done in conjunction with the assistance of the department, and we really do appreciate all of the effort. Really, the department goes above and beyond to contact the complainants and to speak with them and to try to resolve the issue. Because the complaint process, even though there's some strict timelines, it can take some time. So we just want to make sure that we can address those concerns as quickly and as efficiently as possible. And so we're just really appreciative of that. Also, and I know that you know, the sustains from the 5-year trends have gone up, but there's nothing that we are concerned about. As Karen stated, most of these are in the areas of they're procedural things. So that can be report writing, that can be initiating the cameras, things of that nature. So those are the types of things. And each month we have the opportunity to talk about any trends that we see that would negatively impact the performance of duties by the department, and we don't see anything in that regard. We're just speaking on raw numbers, and Karen is thorough, and she's going to point all of those things out. So again, it is a labor of love. We truly enjoy what we do. I know that sounds odd with the complaint people, but we truly enjoy it, and we have great people to work with from the board to the department, and we just really appreciate everybody's contribution to oversight here in Kansas City.
And
Thank
I did
you.
just want to mention a little bit of our community outreach, and I did not address that in this year's annual report, but last year we went to every patrol bureau's roll call. Some of those, I am not a morning person, and those 5 a.m. ones were rough. I'm just going to say, they were rough. I'm also not an evening person, so the late ones were kind of rough too. But we went to every single one of those. We're going to try to do it again this year. We've just started trying to schedule those. Several of us presented at the Citizen Academy 2 times last year, the Hispanic Police Academy. We're looking forward to doing that again this year. Numerous patrol division meetings. We see the commissioners frequently. And then also, one of the things we started doing is meeting with Major Mills out of the Patrol Bureau, usually every other month, every quarter, just to kind of see, if there are things we're seeing that aren't necessarily rising to the level of being sustained or anything like that, but then also just to see if there's any trends or things we need to be aware of. So we're continuing that. We had our first meeting of the year last week. Again, for this year, we're going to start doing some more ride-alongs. So that was actually requested. Captain Crump from Internal Affairs went out and did some roll calls, and she said, they're asking for you to come out and do ride-alongs. And I was like, wow, okay. So I'm actually doing one on Thursday night in East Zone. Again, the Citizen Police Academy, continued patrol division meetings, and our continued roll calls. So we are available if anybody wants us to attend meetings with them, things like that. We are available. We're happy to go out in the evenings and on the weekends and whatnot. So if you ever need us, please don't hesitate to ask.
Well, you beat me to the punch. I was going to ask you what priorities and things you were going to try and accomplish in the year ahead. So thank you for giving us a little bit of an update on that. And I also just want to say thank you to the whole team. I see you out in the community often, and you are the face of this board to many people in the community, and the professionalism and thoroughness is greatly appreciated. So thank you for what you're doing.
Yes, thank you. We appreciate your passion and your hard work. And really, people want to be heard, and it's nice that they're getting that chance. And we can always learn from it, so we appreciate that. Thank you.
I also want to add, thank you, Karen. You and I are alike in not being a 5 a.m. nor a maybe 9 p.m. person, so we share that. But thank you for your work and your passion, and shout out to I know Diane, but the other 2 members in the back. I met someone this morning, and the entire team, Merrill, thank you so much for
Yes,
everything
great
you do.
team. Thank you all.
Thank
We
you.
have Tierra Watley and
Tierra.
Stephanie Hamilton, our 2 analysts in the office. So we really appreciate them.
Yes, thank you all.
Thank you.
Great job. Okay, public comments.
Rachel Thomas?
Good morning, and you have 2 minutes, Ms. Thomas.
Last month, you celebrated a retirement by gifting a club or a baton. Which violent weapon was it? Then, that same day, there was a police shooting. The victim shot was left in critical condition. Also last month, you skipped over public comments knowing full well I was here, knowing full well why. I was just going to talk about a real-life example of KCPD. Your officer, Graves, headlocks a gentleman proceeding to slam their head on concrete floor at a grocery store. Does that sound familiar to you? Because, in fact, KCPD paid with tax money a different gentleman who was picked up and body slammed on his head on concrete outside of a gas station. hours after recklessly murdering Zachary Gerard. You don't care. But I'm here to remind you, your hands are bloody. I'm going to force you to remember for a second that when you pledge your allegiance and feel your own heartbeat, no 170 hearts have bled out under your silence. That doesn't include violation of rights and excessive use of force. But I can't just talk about police violence. Mayor, pretend we're on Facebook so you pay attention. You don't want to see homeless people or look them in the eye. You take away bus routes and end the zero fare. Someone can't get to their job. That, or go to work but go hungry because they can't afford the groceries and bus fare. There will be more homeless people while you are LARPing with construction workers. Either way, your hands are bloody. Blaine Newton, he murdered Donnie Sanders, Marcel Nelson, Kristen Fairchild. He beat and tased a child. But please, all of you, congratulate yourself on a bigger police budget.
Ron Hunt.
To our great mayor, to the beautiful board president, and Madeline and everybody else, and to our beautiful chief. I just want to say real quick, the chief, I'm very impressed with your department. My man, there he is, right over there. What's his name? Pick, is it? What's his name? Yeah, great guy. What we're doing, Mayor, I identified 4 schools, and so my focus is the lab, and so I talked to the principals, and so they're kind of waiting. So I wanted to go up with Pinkerton or his staff to the and introduce to the science class the lab, the crime analysis, and they're open to that. And so I'm really, really excited about that. Tomorrow we have a career fair, which the police department is going to be a part of. My man, appreciate you, man. He's a great guy. I really like all the members of the police department. You guys are really great, but we have a career fair tomorrow. I'm looking forward to that. I've been really, really, really busy. What else? What was I talking about? Interns. Chief, I went to the city council, and the mayor was there. I went to the city council, and I says, hey, give the police department more money. And so to hire more people for the prospect, the 31st prospect. But in addition, I like to see some of the interns get some stipends, especially for the lab. I mean, he's doing a great job. And so here's what I'm saying. My spiel is real quick. As I go into the schools with the police department and says, hey, the young people. And a lot of times the way I dress is really a marketing type of thing, because I'm around young people all the time. So I said, young people, check this out. This is what the lab, the crime analysis, this is what they do. This is their opportunity. And they're open for that. So I'm excited about that. This guy's he's great. Your whole staff, Chief, is really great. I'm really impressed. Nehemiah, keep it up with those detectives and the robbery. All of those things are great. People, the community loves to hear those type of good news. We like to hear that. We don't like to hear how much was wasted in lawsuits. That's another thing that we gotta really, really, really talk about. Don't want to talk about it here, but the thing is, I want y'all to know that we really, really appreciate it. I've watched the officers out there, Chief Graves. They're very nice. When you see, I'm seeing more officers, which is great, which is really great. And the community supports you. Where's Luther? There he is. I've been in meeting with Luther and Chris Young in terms of the no loitering signs. This is what we're doing on Prospect. So, Ms. Kramer, I've been really busy. I love it. I'm volunteering, Mayor, because I want to see our department, be successful. I want to see our young people, Madeline, join the police department. But we gotta be tweaked a little bit. We gotta tweak it a little bit and get their interest. And then throughout the summer, I mean, we got what, 10, 12 weeks of summer? We can get the young people a couple $100 just to come and be interested in the lab. I'm talking about the lab. And so,
Ron, we appreciate everything you do and your comments, and we will work with you to see what we can do. And do we have his information for the Career Day on our website so everybody can check that out and be there this weekend to support you in making that happen?
Thank you, Chief. You're doing
So-
a good job. Thank you. Board, this is the best board I've ever experienced. And I've been coming to the board meetings for decades tonight. This is the best board.
Thank you.
The best board I've ever worked with. And the best chief. Best good.
Thank you. Thank you, Ron.
That's all of public comments.
Okay. Approval of open session minutes?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Ayes have it. Mr. Kenner, any comments?
I would just also like to extend my condolences to the family of firefighter Hoffman. That's something that should never happen. This heinous act is just beyond belief. And I really don't understand why somebody would do something like that when you're dealing with people who are trying to help you. First responders should never be attacked. There's no excuse for that. I'd also like to echo the chief's comments. I extend our appreciation to the citizens of Kansas City for extending the public safety sales tax. That is so important to the department, and we will use those funds appropriately. That's all I've got. Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor Lucas.
I'll start on a high as well. It was an interesting public safety sales tax campaign. I'm glad that it was successful, continuing roughly 23 years of additional support for public safety in Kansas City. That is appreciated. It will be very important, and it's a necessary resource as we address the many issues that we face in this community. Something that I assume most of the officers in this room have done is something that I don't have a lot of experience with, which is talking to grieving families following a homicide. It is something that is by far the worst part of this job, and I imagine in many situations yours. As has been noted already, the tragedy that befell not just firefighter Hoffman, but others this weekend, is something that we all took to heart, particularly as to firefighter Hoffman, and speaking to his mother, others in his family. It's the sort of thing that we should absolutely never accept. I said this elsewhere, and I'll just say it lightly here. I am an attorney. I'm not in the business ever of critiquing judges or prosecutors, and I won't distract from that at all. I will say this. An assault on a law enforcement officer is something that I think is very serious. It is something that occurred in the sequence of offenses, and it is something that I hope when we look at future reviews will be taken, if not seriously, but even more seriously, given if someone shows that disrespect to a law enforcement officer, usually they have a propensity to harm others, as at least we have seen alleged in this situation. That's all I have to say on this. My condolences to everyone in firefighter Hoffman's family, KCFD. I will add this. I want to say thank you to the Kansas City Police Department. I was at the hospital on Sunday morning. I saw several of you, including our chief of police, including Colonel Ortiz. It meant a lot, and I think it meant a lot to a lot of those folks in the room as well. And seeing you all walk in, I'll add one little bit of levity. I assume that most of you all live in the Northland, but I asked Colonel Ortiz, where are you? Won't give away where you live, but on the opposite side of the city. And I said, well, heck, you got a long drive this morning, too. I think it meant a lot that in the middle of the night, that's the sort of thing that you all were doing. And it just shows, as Chief Graves noted, the collaboration I think that everybody has here. So it was appreciated. I know we'll have a bit more to do as we honor our firefighter, and I know you all will be a part of that, so thank you.
Commissioner Romius.
So, first of all, I guess I have a few things to say. Today's meeting was, in my assessment, a very good meeting, rich in content. Everyone's report was on point. We've had highs and lows, officers being run over by vehicles, losing a firefighter who's 29 years of age. But yet, the collaboration between the department and the city and looking for a new fiscal year, a budget year, and improving that. Someone asked me the other day, and I'll share this with you quickly, was I enjoying being a commissioner? And my comment to them was, there's not this joy, it is not fun, it is a commitment, it is an honor. It was about 13 months ago that I had the pleasure of being sworn into this position. And I would just share with you, as I've gotten to know each of you and the officers and the detectives and the analysts, I am so extremely proud to be in this capacity and just keep doing a phenomenal job. So that concludes my reports, Madam President.
Thank you. Commissioner Whitaker.
Thank you. I don't know that I can come up with any words to say anything more relevant than what you all have shared today about the horrific event over the weekend, including the other homicides that we experienced. None of those should be forgotten. The positive side of that, though, is the support that I was able to see from this department and others in the community that rallied around and took that so seriously. I'm not going to be able to be at the graduation of our call takers this week, so I went and spent some time with the class a couple of weeks ago during Telecommunications Week. And what occurred to me, what I was able to see, was the culture of that class. Maybe because of the people that are involved with their training, but it was representative of the same culture of help and care and concern that we saw over the weekend, that we see in every department that I try and get out to be involved in as much as I can. And so it was very validating and heartwarming to see this new class coming on and sharing the same ideals and values that are throughout this department. So I'm sorry I can't be there, but I feel really good about the progress we're making and the culture within the department. So thank you for that. That's all I have.
Thank you. Well, and with that, I think everything here has been said, but it's such a privilege and honor, again, to work with outstanding men and women in this department. And again, our support for all of the first responders out there. That was so sad. Nobody should ever have to be put in that position and then to have to confront the family, and it was just horrific. And again, I know it takes a village, and we want to make sure that there is respect out there and that everybody is prosecuted to the fullest to make a statement that this is not okay, and we do need to respect those that put their lives on the line for us every day, because we really value and appreciate that. And I think, again, with that, all the collaborative effort, we see that. We see, these horrible things bring us together, and we all want to work together to make it better. And I know with the public safety sales tax, that's huge, because there's only so much the city can do for us, and the private citizens with voting on that allows us to get the equipment to solve these crimes faster. And the Police Foundation, with all the private money that comes in to support this entity, is just a huge blessing. And, it's just an honor to be part of that and see all the great things that we are doing out there to make a difference in this community and to make it safer. So thank you all for everything that you do, and our condolences to the family out there for firefighter Hoffman. We just, hate being in this situation, but there's lots of prayers and blessings out there for that family, and we appreciate you guys for all your hard efforts. Thank you. Okay. Take it for a motion to go into closed.
Go into closed.
Second.
Whichever.
Roll call.
Lucas, aye.
Whitaker, aye.
Romeus, aye.
Kramer, aye.